If you're a woman right now and you know you can create an OnlyFans account, you're choosing not to, kudos to you out there.
87.9% of men on OnlyFans are married.
I gotta play devil's advocate here. For $6, $8 a month, you can see the person you're attracted to naked and doing whatever.
And I think that number one is, why are men so enticed to watch porn? There are girls that are being marketed to basically get men to watch porn. I was an online pimp. So even though I wasn't the one who was doing the porn, I was selling the porn. I was recruiting the girls. I was encouraging this.
2% of all women in America, 18 to 45, are selling themselves online. And this is according to the Washington Examiner. If you somehow find out who you're dating is watching porn, what is your response?
Ooh.
A really intuitive episode today as Victoria Sinis, a former marketer for an OnlyFans agency, joins the podcast to help analyze why so many women are turning to the porn platform as a viable source of income. Victoria now helps women and girls all over the world avoid getting into the porn trap. Now, a little behind the scenes here, as Victoria actually traveled to the US all the way from Australia to do a round of podcasts, starting in California, and then stopped down here on her way out in Miami to jump on the No Politics podcast. So, let's do it.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive. With every step.
So why are so many women turning to OnlyFans?
That's a great question. I think that in the culture we live in today, there's such a lie and this picture that's painted of what OnlyFans is, but the actual reality of it is so far from what people think it is. And I think that for some weird reason, in this new age of, I guess, feminism, that to be a feminist is to be this sexually liberated kind of being. And so the epitome of that is selling yourself online. I think it's really multifaceted, to be honest. I actually don't think there's like a simplistic answer to it. But I do believe that in this current day and age that we're just seeing such an inundation of reward for being this dangerous sexual woman. And I think that a lot of women think that to be liked, loved, to have success, to matter in this world, I therefore have to be sexual. And so what's a way in doing that? Well, OnlyFans, because it seems like it's this rewarded career path, and you'll get money, you'll get fame, you'll get attention, you'll get all these things. But that's not accurate and that's not true. But it seems in our day and age, especially in our generation, that's what people think of OnlyFans. And we see through social media that you're rewarded through likes, through followers and all of this. So I think that that's why this phenomenon has come around and why so many women genuinely think that this is a viable option for happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, and I think to go off of that too, it's just like the rise of individualism too, you know, where everyone's trying to be out there getting their own money. If you can, and especially when you can rise up to be making like millions of dollars in like a month, you know, which Miami down here being the OnlyFans capital of the United States per capita, per location or demographic locations of profiles down here. It's like rampant down here. And I feel like, you know, what's a little scary is that, you know, pornography and porn stars, you know, they used to be considered like the, you know, on the fringe of society, you know what I'm saying? Like not a lot of people knew personally of a porn star, you know, but nowadays I feel like, especially, I mean, down here in Miami, it's insane. Everybody knows somebody doing it, somebody who's massively succeeding on it. You see it all over the news. You know, it's almost like every other day. It's like, oh, OnlyFans model gets fired from being a teacher. And then like within a week, she's like, making like $60,000 a month rather than $60,000 as a teacher per year. And I feel like over time, you know, when women are viewing those stories once a week, twice a week, it's slowly decaying that idea in their mind that they're by doing the right thing, they're able to get ahead somehow, you know? And then the more people that do it, the more it seems like it's okay. You know, that's why a lot of times like people do things that they're maybe not usually thought of doing, things in groups. You know, when somebody does something in a group, it's because there's a shared level of responsibility. When now I think it's very similar to where, oh my God, everyone else is doing it. So it's like, I'm not the only one. And if I'm not the only one, I'm not going to be, it's just not me putting myself out there. Like everyone's putting themselves out there. So the famous saying, everyone else is doing it, right? You know, it's like the worst thing I feel like you ever want to hear as a parent. I'm not a parent, but like I feel like you're hearing your child say, well, everyone else is doing it, mom or dad.
No,
you're like, no.
It doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I really, really do believe that in our culture today, it's like quick reward is a good reward. And that by going and jumping on a platform like OnlyFans, any type of money is good money. And I think as well, a lot of people think that, oh, I just have to jump on this platform and I just have to do the bare minimum and I will make, you know, X amount of money. But that's actually not the reality. Like you just said before that there's so many people that, you know, potentially like down here in Miami and they're making a good income off of this. But statistically speaking, that's not accurate in any capacity. It's actually a minute amount of people. There's like a 2024 study that was published at the start of the year, and the average income of an OnlyFans creator, whatever you want to call them, is 140 USD a month. So I think that there's this big veil that's over OnlyFans as well, that you can just jump on here, you can just sell your feet, you know, you make so much money in all of this. And it's like, well, realistically, no, you won't. And we have to put this terminology correctly as well. It's painted with this thing of content creator. No. As you said, this is porn and what you're doing is sex work. And I don't think a lot of people understand that as well, which kind of comes back to your first like question of why do you think this is so popular? And I think that when you manipulate words to not be accurate of what something is, that's as well why there's this allure. But if you were going around saying to people, hey, do you want to quit your job so you can become a sex worker? No, not a lot of people will do that. Oh, and you'll probably only make $140 a month. They would be like, that doesn't seem like a very good deal. Yeah, it doesn't.
There's a lot of times people I feel like women especially too, and when we're talking about models and OnlyFans models, we're pretty much talking about women.
Predominantly women, correct.
Some men, but you know, there's this idea that I could do it anonymously.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is almost a gateway to them just like getting their foot in, like, okay, like I don't have to show my face. I don't have to necessarily use my own name. I use a stage name. And then I feel like that gets their feet in the door, and then boom, you know, the gloves are off at that point. You know, you've actually gone in. Now you are an actual creator and you are posting nude photos of yourself. So then it's like, okay, well, like what's the next step? I'm seeing like a couple of dollars trickle in. Well, how do I actually then make more money? And it's, well, you know, you have to do a lot more than that. And by then, you know, it's like, all right, well, I've already gone like, you know, a couple inches. What's another couple inches? What's another couple inches? And then within like a year or two, I mean, you're basically full blown porn star, posting and doing everything. And I feel like, you know, there's like, how are we able to kind of like backtrack on that and dissuade people from trying to put their feet in the water a little bit?
I think it comes down to identity. And the biggest thing that I see, and now that also I talk to young girls like at schools and stuff like that, is how do I put this? If your identity is not rooted in something solid, anything will sway it. And this was personally for me as well. So just people don't think that I'm sitting here pointing fingers. My identity was rooted in business success. I didn't matter unless I was going to make it in a business context. And so that was my manifestation of my lack of identity. But for other women, because it's so rewarded, their manifestation of lack of identity is is through this hypersexualized culture we live in, and doing something like OnlyFans because that's how they think that they'll matter and how they're going to be rewarded. And I think that what we need to do as a culture, and this isn't a male problem and a female problem, this is a human problem, is champion legitimate dreams in people again. I don't understand why. I go to schools and there's young girls and it's like their epitome of success is OnlyFans, because they think that if I do OnlyFans, I can be happy and travel. And I've literally had two 15-year-old girls say that to me, that they think that the pathway to happiness and traveling is through OnlyFans. And it's like, how is this the conversation we're having? You can do so many other things in this world to be happy and to travel. That doesn't mean that you go do pornography. And so, but that's a lack of identity, that these girls think that that's where their worth
too,
is.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's because what is social media doing? We're soft influencing people, again, through rewarding, through likes and followers and all these things, to say this is a desirable woman. This is the type of outcome you should want. By showing off your body in this way, people will like you, in quotation marks. And so that's why I think people are leaning towards this. So how you mitigate this problem is rooting people's identity in a firm foundation of who they are and their truest essence. So then you're not actually swaying them and they're going to go, hey, wait a minute. No, you know what? I don't actually have to take my clothes off to be liked, loved, and respected and valued, because I know intrinsically who I am, my purpose, what I was created for, whatever it is. And I think that we need to start building a solid foundation of identity in people again to mitigate these type of phenomenons that we see in our culture.
Well, a question for you, because you're a woman, you could attest to this better. I'm going to dive into the competition between women. Do you think that getting into it feeds into them, like, you know, because I have more followers and because men pay subscriptions onto my profile more than other women, women are competing with each other through OnlyFans to, you know, I have the best body. I have the most guys after me. I have the most money that I've made myself. You know, I have the most guys paying me. And I've seen Instagram posts of people saying, like, basically, look, this is my brand new house. 500,000 men paid $6.99 for it a month.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, again, though, what is the underlying issue here? And the underlying issue is insecurity. And in a performative world that we live in through social media, and the thing is, I'm not bashing social media. I think that this can be used as a great tool, but in the wrong way, anything is a negative. Yeah. And so we see that through social media and through this competitiveness, if you have insecurities, that of course you're going to go, wait a minute, that girl this, that girl that, hold on this. So what do I have to do? I have to do this to be able to perform this way. And there's a scarcity mindset. And I'm just noticing that in no matter what context it is, if we're talking about OnlyFans, if we're talking about business, if we're talking about whatever it is, people don't think there's enough room for everyone. Oh my gosh, there is so much room at the table. There is so much room for that person to be successful and for you to be successful and for 100,000 other people to be. And if you think that that's wrong, then unfortunately you put limitations on what you think is achievable. Yeah. So I think that it is. And again, in this weird incubator of OnlyFans and social media, it absolutely has heightened this competitive spirit that's in people. And again, it comes back down to lack of identity, insecurities, because I lack, therefore I must take. You have what I need. Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I want to reverse it too, because a lot of times we talk about women, and this is a problem, like women becoming OnlyFans creators is a problem, right? That's usually the general, that's how I even started the conversation here. But I feel like this is like an issue, really like a demand issue. You know, like a lot of the times we look at a problem and we go like, how do we stop it? How do we stop it, right? But if there's no demand, then there's no supply. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, and with any issue across like the really like even like the political board where you've got like people always argue about like guns and gun control. It's like, well, why do people want guns? You know what I'm saying? And same thing with like abortion. People against it, for it. Well, why do people want it, right? Here with OnlyFans, it's like, you know, we concentrate so much on the women when, okay, well, if no men were OnlyFans users,
Yeah.
there would be literally zero women on their posting because they're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know anybody who's selling, who's like, you know, just posting nude photos of themselves for no reason,
no
you know, or sex
reward,
videos,
correct,
you know?
yeah.
So it's like, I almost like want to like start there and kind of dissect like why are so many men, because the numbers is insane. I'm going to go through these a little bit right now. And these are really, really rough estimates because I don't work for OnlyFans. OnlyFans has all the cards. We don't. But the amount of content creators, how many are women, basically flip it. And the users are the same in the same droves, but are men. So this is according to a little bit of a study of OnlyFans and OnlyFans stats, according to Business Insider, Scott Max, and the Washington Examiner, all within this year. 70%, and as you said, like the average is about like 150 a month that the creators are making. As of this month, 170 million users are on the platform with close to 500,000 new users daily. Now, we describe a user as somebody with a profile that is subscribing to a creator. So you got a user and creator there, right? So people understand it. Kind of like how you follow somebody on Instagram, you know, you're the follower, they're the page you're following. 70% of creators are women, with 30% being men, which translates to about 1.4 million American women that are between ages 18 and 45, and 600,000 American men, which translates to, in America, 2% of all women in America, 18 to 45, are selling themselves online. And this is according to the Washington Examiner, which, you know, maybe not exact, but rough study, that is insane. That is insane. That is insane, especially when I really deeply feel like we're in the infancy stage of this.
Yeah.
To put that in perspective. Like, I don't think we're on the other side of the bell shape where we're on the way down to the bell curve. I think we're still climbing up here. And the user side, like I said, exactly flipped, with more than 94 million Americans are active users. And considering that 87% of active users are male, that would mean that there's roughly 82 million American men as active users on OnlyFans, if you assume they only have one account.
82 million.
Yeah.
That is insanity.
It's insanity, but you also think that's what puts into perspective when somebody's making $250,000 a month, you know, selling themselves. Because you think, who's really the real problem there? You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And, you know, in summary, that's 2% of women are selling themselves. And that's about 82 million, you know, men with accounts. And then roughly speaking, that's about between 18 and 45. That's about 50% of all American men consuming OnlyFans account.
Wow.
You know, you know, it's a lot. But the thing is too, like, I gotta play devil's advocate here because I'm a man myself, and I know the American man, I feel like, better than anybody. I've only been out of this country once, so like American men I know better than anybody. If you're an 18-year-old, 18 to 45, single American man, or granted, married man, I'm sure, and engaged man, I'm sure as well.
Yeah,
but
just to,
you know,
I think the statistics of how many people are married on OnlyFans, again, I don't understand how they know this, but in a 2024 study that was published, I think it's something like 87.9% of men on OnlyFans are married.
Yeah.
So just to like put that out there as well. It's
Yeah.
not just single dudes that are on it. Like, this is destroying relationships and destroying lives. But yeah.
Yeah, which I'm gonna get your thoughts on actually
Yeah.
after this on some things with that, because it's very interesting too with considering, you know, what's cheating, what's not cheating in the digital era that we're in. But the American man, I feel like the golden question to kind of put a cap on, you know, having all of these women posting naked photos of them and videos of themselves having sex, I feel like is on the opposite, at the last end of the spectrum. The beginning is saying to the American man, trying to convince them to not consume the content on OnlyFans, which is basically asking them, there's a girl you know or you're attracted to. It's $8 to see her naked. Don't do it. That is, from me really considering how to put a plug on this whole issue, I feel like that's the golden question, the golden argument to try to put a plug on a lot of this. And that's a tough argument. That's a really, really tough argument because it's, the risk to reward, the unlike the content creators who can, they're they can post fake names and stuff like that, but they're putting their real bodies out there. The OnlyFans accounts, you're a blank user. I mean, you could literally put like your name like JPXXX, so nobody knows that you're consuming that content, unlike Instagram or so where you're putting your real stuff.
Yeah.
So you can do this all anonymously and consume this at whatever rate you can afford. And for $6, $8 a month, you can see the person you're attracted to naked and doing whatever. Like that is a really tough argument to make to the average American man.
I think that it's so multifaceted, but there's a couple ways that you can kind of break that down. And I think that you're right 100%. If there's no demand, then there's no problem because no one's going to be rewarded financially for this. So of course, why would women go, okay, I'm going to sell myself online just for the lol of it? Like that's not a thing. So you're 100% correct that we really need to address the demand here. And I think that there's kind of 3 avenues I would take in addressing the demand. And I think that number 1 is, why are men so enticed to watch porn, especially OnlyFans? Because OnlyFans, the allure of it is that you are under this guise that you're actually communicating with the girl. So as you said, I can go onto this platform and I can actually talk to this girl. I can get requests and things fulfilled through this girl, and I'm having a personal relationship with her. So to kind of break that down into 2 parts is, why are men yearning for a personal relationship online? Yeah. And then number 2, just to break that stigma, a lot of people need to realize and understand this, that I can almost guarantee that majority of girls that you're talking to on OnlyFans is not the girl. From working at an agency, think about this from a logical perspective. You are talking to a girl that might have 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers, hypothetically. Do you really think she's sitting there and able to facilitate all of those people and talk to them? No. So that's why agencies exist, and people like what I used to do exist. And so what do? We offset that work. So where would we offset the work of communicating with subscribers? Third world countries. So our chatters that we had that were pretending to be these girls were literally people from the Philippines. So you think that you're talking to the girl, number 1, just to shatter that narrative for people. And you think that you're having this one-on-one relationship in quotation marks with her, but you're not. You're talking to some dude in the Philippines. You're
talking to like a 5'4" Filipino man.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if have you ever seen the movie Out Cold?
No.
They do this perfectly, where this scene, it's basically like these 2 guys are online, and this was like back in like the early 2000s, so they're like on these IBM computers on like this chat room, and these 2 guys, they show them like side by side and then a screen back and forth, and the guys are like sending these sexy messages to each other, and they're both guys. And then like by the end of the scene, like they flash back and forth, both guys have their pants down and stuff, and it's so funny because they don't know that they just like, we're talking to each other, both like 40-year-old men. Yeah. And that's the same thing.
And it's literally the exact same thing. Truly. Absolutely. So these guys think that they're jumping on OnlyFans and that they're having this, relationship with this girl, but it's not the case in any capacity. And then it's like, why is that what's working? And so we would train our chatters in this thing called the girlfriend experience. And the whole point of that is that you're sitting there, you're messaging them, good morning, babe, how are you? I'm thinking of you, and all of that. And it's like, well, because if we're tapping into like the truest essence of a male, his sexuality is his softest point. And as well with that, I think in our culture and in our generation specifically, even though we're so connected through social media, we're so decentralized, and men are really lonely. That's why they're the highest rate of people that take their lives. And so it's like this phenomenon is tapping into the truest and weakest essence of a man, which is through his sexuality. And then men are disconnected and they're much more lonely than they've ever been before. And so they're getting this weird like thing from porn, but then as well, it's so complex, I think anyways, because it's like this weird thing with subscribers that they have this sense of obligation. Entitlement is a better word. Sense of entitlement, because I'm paying for you. But then as well, they're getting this weird like love fix from it through
it's like the digital strip club.
Yeah. And so to go back to how do you sit there and say to a male, how do you not pay this small amount of money to see this girl? Well, number one, you're actually not talking to the girl, just to put that out there. So I really hope that kind of disillusions, not shatters the narrative of thinking that I'm actually talking to the girl. So that's the allure there. And then we need to actually strip it back. And as you said, this is it's a huge thing in and of itself, but we need to redirect culture and go, instead of belittling men, putting them down for watching porn, we need to understand, why are men doing this? Why is there such a big demand for this?
Yeah.
And
There's not a conversation for that.
Yeah, like, why is this happening? Because there's a demand, which is why this is like the end result. If we fix that, if we can figure out a way to help men heal in whatever capacity that's needed, then this isn't going to be a problem anymore. And I really care about that. So I don't 100% know what the answer is. As lame and as silly as this sounds, I literally think it's as simplistic as we need to genuinely love people. Because if we're sitting here and we're championing men and we're not agreeing and aligning with this new era of feminism that puts men down, puts them in a box, like all of these horrible things that this new era does, and we have men feel useful again, we have them feel loved, we encourage healthy relationships and not this boss era of women and all of that, and we can be harmonious as a male and female, I really think it would mitigate a lot of problems. But this is a huge cultural thing that needs to see a major shift in our society happen to mitigate the demand.
Well, I think the first ones to trim off then and to go after would be the married men and then the committed men, dating wise. I think that's the easiest first demographic, which actually might make up the bulk of the accounts. Because it's obvious for obvious reasons, you know. I mean, because convincing a single someone who's single to like stop doing this, stop doing that, tough argument. But like committed or married, it's almost like a no-brainer, man. You know, like, does your spouse know? You know, and if they're partaking in it with you, like, okay, that's you have a, you know, sexual element within your relationship like that, whatever. But I feel like most don't, obviously.
Yeah. So
I feel like that's a no-brainer. And then you start from there. It's like, well, why are you consuming this content, which is the biggest issue? You know what I'm saying? Where are you? There's something that's unfulfilled, and you're trying to satisfy your curiosity there. You know, one aspect that I can say too is the soft porn. Soft porn, such a gateway into real porn and soft porn. I mean, and this is dangerous all over the place too, because Instagram, I mean, every platform out there has so much soft porn. It is insane. What I mean by soft porn is basically like, you look at something and it's not two people like having sex, but like it's someone in their underwear or lingerie on a bed, you know, very seductive, talking seductively. Like, we all know the videos that I'm talking about. Like, I don't even have to explain it. We all know it. And it's, there was a famous Supreme Court justice who had said, I think like back in the 60s, they were talking about indecency. And like the question for him was like, well, what is indecency to you? And he had said, I can't describe it to you, but I know it when I see it. And soft porn is exactly that, where you like, there's so much gray area. You can't really like put an X, Y, and Z to it per se, but like, you know it when you see it. You know, when you turn on a video and it's like this woman like pretending she's in an office space, like working, but like, you know, she's just wearing like a thong or something like that. And that is so all over the place. It's almost like clickbait now. Yeah. And the thing is, once you click once, which I'm guilty of it myself, every single male who has an Instagram has clicked it at least a few times, just scrolling through their feed instinctively. And it's so easy to get caught up into that, because the thing is, once you click once, Instagram goes, oh, you like this content. They're going to show you more of it. They're going to show you more of it. Unless you notice that and realize that, you're going to keep clicking. And then before you know it, 5 out of 6 of your posts are going to be soft porn posts. And then you're done. You're finished there. You're finished there because the injection's gone in. You're constantly clicking on it. You're going to go into these women's like profiles and stuff, and they're probably all OnlyFans content creators, you know, and you're sucked in right off the rip. So I would say to the men listening, I would say, do not take the bait. You probably already have. I won't say 100% your fault, but if you keep clicking day after day, week after week, you're going to fall into such a crater of just depravity, really, you know?
Like, to really put that in perspective as well. So at the agency, this is what...
if you can explain too a little bit your little background, where you started, how you kind of got into this work with helping women kind of avoid the trap of becoming an online creator.
Yeah. So about in 2022, a very close personal friend of mine had decided that they wanted to start an OnlyFans agency back in Australia. Now, my work background is in startups and in marketing. So through that, they were like, hey, would you like to help us build this agency? And they had already had friends that in Australia were quite big in OnlyFans and already had a big, presence on Instagram.
Yeah.
So it made sense. It was like, you know, these women would run the agency with the backgrounds that they have, and then with the background I have, would be able to create a really strong business. So my whole role was to come in and build the marketing division of this OnlyFans agency. So everything you're talking about right now about the oversaturation of sexualized content, that was my role. My role was to get girls as viral as possible across all different platforms. Because if you think about it, what are we trying to do? We're trying to get subscribers.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to pull as many people as possible, put them into a funneling system to end up at OnlyFans. So this is so curated and so intentional. So again, for anyone that's listening that's a male, you have to understand that you're being targeted. So what we would do at the agency that I worked at specifically is when we would onboard a girl, so you do their onboarding, you would create this thing called a brief. And a brief is basically how you can best represent the girl to pretend to be her. You give that to the chatter. So then the chatter can sit there and talk to all these people all day long and has this document that they can reference, so then they can best represent the girl. Because again, they're pretending to be the girl so they can talk to the subscriber to get as much money from you as possible. So that's aspect like kind of number one is account management. And then aspect number two is where I come in, and that's marketing. So we had actually hired a third party that would study algorithms and trends. So every single day on Telegram, we would get multiple videos sent with trending videos, trending sounds, trending songs, trending whatever. And we would send them to the girls they would have to recreate these very specific curated videos. And they were all hypersexual. They were all very, insinuate things and whatever. And with the girls, what we would get them to do is create 3 to 5 TikTok accounts. Minimum 3 to 5. And on every single one of those accounts, they would need to post 3 to 5 videos. So think about that. If you've got one girl who has 5 accounts and she's posting 5 videos, that's almost 20 videos a day. That's 100 videos a week. If you're going by that, we were saying 7 days a week. So there's 120 videos, if my math is mathing right now, of one girl that is content that is supposed to manipulate algorithms for virality. We were getting girls with no TikTok followers, no nothing. And I think in 7 days, we got one girl to 3.2 million views. So you can imagine the caliber of this. And so social media is so saturated with this type of content because it's trying to target you. And then from TikTok, you take it, you put it on Instagram. And then from Instagram, you've got your link, you got this, you're on Reddit, you're on Twitter, you're on dating apps, you're on Snapchat, any social media platform that you can think of. There are girls that are being marketed to basically get men to watch porn.
So that's what's behind the OnlyFans agencies.
Yep. So it's a very specific ecosystem because we need to promote these girls, and so this is how you do it. You literally manipulate the algorithms for virality. So then as many people can see this. So of course, you're going to be saturated with this type of stuff. And think about it. That's one agency in Australia that is pumping out that type of content volume.
Yeah.
Like imagine the caliber across the world.
Yeah, especially in America, because America is the dominant factor in there, obviously.
Yeah. And so I have such a heart for men in this because I'm like, we're literally targeting you. But I think it's really important to understand that and know that there's a driving factor behind these type of videos. It is created for virality. There is an intent behind it. So then when you see that video, you're going to not hopefully now go, oh, I'm enticed by that. You're going to go, wait a minute. I know that there's some agency that's behind that because you're trying to suck me in through this video that you're basically forcing this girl to do because they probably work in an agency. So if I follow along this paper trail, I'm going to end up at their OnlyFans, talk to some dude in the Philippines, and then hopefully the allure's kind of gone there, because I think that people think that OnlyFans girls want to do this, that it's so much fun and that's the flirty, like exciting part of it because they post all these videos, and it's like, no, there is a driving factor behind this, and predominantly it is agencies that are just trying to get as much money from you as possible. That is the end game. How can we basically get as much money? Because these chatters, they're sales jobs. So they have to put in how much money they make every day. We have a quota of how much money they need to earn, and they put it in the spreadsheet because it's like a commission job. And some agencies literally will pay chatters for commission of how much sales they make off you. So I guess that's aspect number 2 of an agency, which is pretty heavy. And then we can get into it as well. But I guess it's a little off topic for what we're discussing right now, but is recruitment. And so again, it's a business at the end of the day. So you need to be bringing people in. So there's also a recruitment element to an OnlyFans agency. So it's account management, marketing, and recruitment.
Okay. I'm a little bit harder, I would say, on the men than you are. I know you feel a little like sympathy for being for targeting them and so forth, but it's as a consumer of we're all consumers, right?
Yeah.
And as you're just basic consumer where I shop, I go, you have to be on defensive mode and just know like that you're being hit with ads all over the place.
Yeah.
With everything, and that, it's targeting, your physiology as a man. Obviously they're trying to inundate you with baits and images that's going to spark a little like internal reaction and then get you to click more and more and more. But like at this stage of the game, like I think we know that people are baiting other people all over social media. So it's not like we're past the sneak up point of things, where I don't think it's new of what people are trying to do. And it's like, at some point, where do you draw the line with yourself where you end up like, just like, no, I'm not clicking that. I'm not going to follow this person. I'm not going to follow this model anymore.
Yeah.
Especially like I said, like earlier with, if you're in a committed relationship too, and it's like, you're following all your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your wife, their family, and then you're following like XXXX account. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a hard one. Like, I feel like it is and it isn't. There's, of course, a level. There comes to a point where
do you know the Pope actually? The Pope like someone who runs his account last year. Yeah, he I want to get this fact on this.
Is the Pope following porn?
He liked an Instagram photo of an OnlyFans model.
Oh, come on.
A Brazilian lingerie model, which showed the woman standing at a school locker wearing a white crop top, stockings, suspenders, and a skirt showing off her behind. And granted, I doubt that the
Pope is not running his Instagram.
The Pope
he would have no idea.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I know.
Just to hopefully back up the Pope. No. But there is a level of accountability, and we all have to take that. I'm so specific about what I follow on my social media, even from like before I exited from this world, I didn't follow any accounts that are like that, hypersexual, any influencers, any celebrity stuff like that, because it cooks your brain.
Yeah, it does.
And so there is definitely a level of accountability that we need to take, and that's just a thing that you have to do, absolutely. But I also think, especially for like the younger generation, so I'm 26, I think that I grew up understanding that there was a world before social media. Like Instagram became... Yeah,
because you know better of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, there's... even when I've spoken to young girls, and it would be the same for young boys, and I tell them all of this stuff, they go, so not everything we see on social media is real. And we have to remember that the younger generation is growing up in a world where they never knew a world without social media. So therefore, they think that everything they see on social media is real, is correct, is accurate, because they don't understand there's a differentiation because they've never grown up with that. So I think that we can have a conversation with, again, I know you're talking about like relationships and marriages, and so older demographic, where you go, hey, wait a minute, we've educated you now on understanding that you are targeted, that there is something behind this. You now need to take the due diligence to not follow those accounts, to put those boundaries in place, or maybe don't have social media if you fall victim to this time and time again. Potentially seek help. But for the younger ones, I think it's educating them that, hey guys, there was a world that existed for a very long time before social media came around. This is cultivated, it's curated, it's not real. So you really can't believe everything you see. And people might go, oh, well, they're dumb for, no, not really. Because if you've grown up in a world where this is your reality, how do you know anything else? So I think that there's like kind of two arguments you can make for like the pre-social media world, and then this one who's growing up not knowing or understanding that there was a world before social media. Yeah,
and that's why I always say like the millennial generation is kind of like the entire world's future is up to them, because the thing is, millennials grew up the last generation before like social media took off, so they know about it beforehand, and then they know and have been in the thick of it and had to adjust to now, okay, I have to operate within it to fit in this world. Where the generations before them, it was kind of like most of their life, there was no social media, but then social media came around a time where they could still function without it. Yeah. And they was kind of like putting it off until like I'm out of my sector and I no longer even have to like do it anymore. You know, so it's kind of like escaping what they knew was the inevitable. Yeah. But millennials had to adjust, you know, and some of us even grew up with it, depending on the exact year, you know, grew up with probably around like age, like, you know, slowly introduced with video games, computer softwares, computers, but then social media really hitting in the early 2000s. And now, I mean, you know, where I mean, it was weird when like McDonald's or Burger King would tweet out something, you know, in like 2008, but now it's almost like, you know, they're like cooking all over.
Well, like, Twitter, you know? We would have grown up, like, I still remember like MySpace and MSN. And then I remember the first Facebook. And I remember when people would post on MySpace being like, this is lame, go to Instagram. Yeah. So you've seen the evolution. You can remember what it was and now looking at what it is, where, now they just see what it is. And I can't imagine how hard that must be. Imagine you're like 15, 16 years old and you're looking at this like 23-year-old who has all these followers and all of this lifestyle and everything. You think that's reality. Like they probably, like I know a lot of teenagers don't even understand. You know, you can buy likes, you can buy followers. Yeah. There's these things called credit cards. There's debt. There's Facetune. You can edit your bodies. You can edit videos. Like it's all so fake, but they don't understand that because that's just what they see. Yeah. And I have a lot of empathy, I think. I can't imagine how hard it would be just growing up with all of this, trying to navigate being a teenager, plus all the stuff we're talking about. Like it would be hard.
Well, to them, it's normal. You know what I'm saying? That's the wildest case, that it's normal to see your friends starting to post like nude photos of themselves at like 15, 16, 17, 18, or like really, really not essentially nude, but like, you know, showing off their bodies at that age too. Cause I mean, when I was like in high school, that was when like Instagram was like super new and like Snapchat was like slowly coming out. Yeah. So nothing like there was never a time at that point where like people were really like putting up private photos of themselves, because it was always keep it private if people were sending those around, you know. But now, you know, being at that age, and now that's like the normal thing to do. So now like the door is open, you know. And the thing is, once that door has been open, it's like so hard right now to close it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Because, you know, you got people that are like, you know, I mean, especially like a competition between women that you see all over the place, where it's like, I mean 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, posting a picture about their body. And then I feel like other women are feeling inclined then to like compete with that or make a comment about that. And then, you know, I mean, it's just you're like spreading that all over the place. It's, and to not know any better on that, because there's no other option to their perspective.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So just really, really sad overall. Social media and Instagram, I think, is not making it any harder. I think they don't care what is on there as long as people are staying consuming and liking and sharing and staying engaged. I really don't think that there is a standard there where they decide like, no, like that's against our community guidelines. Mm-hmm. I just think they're willing to do anything because the social media platform with startups, TikTok, Twitter, or X now, YouTube Shorts, it's so competitive now that everybody's just like, when things get very competitive, people's morals tend to weed down a little bit because they're on like survival mode, Yeah. So little food for thought there, but.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I've had some people say that to me, like, what do you think the moral obligation of social media platforms is? And I'm like, I think that there's two sides to this argument, potentially. I think that we need to be able to educate people on how to navigate this because social media can be a massive positive. And so it's not necessarily going, hey, Instagram, you need to put this stuff down. You needed this, you needed that. Would it be great if they were probably stricter and were able to mitigate this and let's not put any type of pornographic, not safe for work content on any social media platforms in any capacity? I think that would be great. But then again, as you said, there's a demand. And so you can block, you can delete, you can do all that all day long, but it's just going to keep popping back up. And so if we had better guidelines and better rules around this stuff, I think it would help for the access so people couldn't get it as freely as they do now. But I definitely think that the root cause is the demand. And so you need to address that, as you were saying before. Otherwise, you're just going to keep, there's going to be new ways that it just keeps coming and keeps coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. I don't know how you convince men to stop consuming it when it's like it's like pulling at their physiological tugs, hooks.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, I think if we sit here and like deep dive into it, but there's so many aspects you can. And again, I think it does come down to, and you hear about this all the time, and I know you said that like you swear, but excuse the language, but like men talk about like PostNut Clarity. And it's like, so men intrinsically know that when they watch porn, that after they watch it, they probably are going to feel icky about something because deep down in your truest essence that there's something about this that's not right. And I think that we need to talk about that more because in the moment, of course, you're like, oh, yep, whatever. You think it's a good idea. Then after you're like, ugh. And then what happens? Shame. And that is insidious and that will breed. And that's what keeps you coming back is this thing of shame. That's why men who predominantly have porn addictions don't talk about it because there's so much shame and it keeps you entrapped. And so I think if we really want to talk about that, we need to be real and be like, guys, you deep down know that. And you know that porn will never substitute for an actual woman. And so why are you leaning towards this? What's going on in your life and in your heart that this is what you're going towards? And again, if you can get to the root.
Why are they like so sexually unsatisfied?
Yeah. And if you can get to the root of that, because in males, if you can champion the truest essence, the best part of a man, like again, in this culture where we demean them and everything like that, like, of course they're going to feel like trash. They're not going to have the confidence to go up to a girl. They're not going to have the confidence to want to try and be in a relationship and all these other things. Where if we can champion men, then I don't understand, potentially, maybe I'm naive for thinking this, but you kind of mitigate the need in a way, because if a man feels loved, cherished in the context, I personally believe, of marriage, I don't support sex before marriage in any capacity, but in the context of that, sexually satisfied and all these things, why would they have the need for that? If a man feels loved and is whole in all aspects, he's not going to go to porn. So that doesn't mean that it's on the women.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
That doesn't mean it's on the women.
No, as you were saying, like I was thinking about what I said before, where I was like, we focus on the creators, we should be focusing on men. And then as you were saying that, I was like, actually, maybe we focus on the women who are with the men to alleviate the men from wanting to go on there. So we're actually getting deeper and deeper then.
Yeah. Again, this is why when I talk about this issue, I have to emphasize this isn't a male problem and a female problem. This is a human problem. And if we continue to pit people against each other, we're never going to fix this. People might think again that that's silly, but I believe in championing humans. And if we can love men better, if men can love women, I feel like it'll be this beautiful, healthy one-upmanship. Because if I'm championing you and the best part of you, then you're going to want to rise up and champion that in me. And then it's this beautiful. And I believe that we can have that. And I think that that is absolutely achievable. And it just, I think that it's just this massive lack of love.
It can be. I want to get your personal insight and thoughts on here, because this would be great. Are you dating anyone at this point? Not married? When was your last relationship?
I just got asked this on a podcast. I should know this, like 2021.
2021? Okay. If you somehow find out who you're dating is watching porn, what is your response?
Ooh.
And you can give me the initial response and what you would want the response to be.
And then what my it's a complex one. I think that I could answer this. Can I answer this in two separate scenarios?
You can answer it however you so basically me and you were dating, right? I just went to work. I left my computer open or something. You left your computer at work. You log on to mine. You see like a tab that was still open and it was like on.
I know. It's okay. It's so funny. I have these conversations with people as well. I feel like I can never give it. It's going to be a long-winded answer.
Let's do it.
Because for me, I have the guise of faith. So I see everything through the lens of faith. Okay. So if I'm dating someone, if we're being super specific and realistic for the situation, I'm not dating someone unless they have the same morals and values that I have, which therefore means that they
ideally wouldn't be.
Yeah. So then the conversation is about, because in faith, we know better. We know that you don't consume porn, sex before marriage, and we understand why that's important and why that's sacred and why you respect that. The analogy is that a fire is beautiful when it's in a fireplace, but if that fire gets out of the fireplace, mate, that's a bad time you got on your hands, and that's what we believe.
That was so fucking Australian, dude. That was so fucking.
Say coffee again.
Coffee, yeah. I felt like I was just talking with like Steve Irwin right there, man.
Oh man.
Sorry.
I just had to slip some Aussie in there.
Yeah.
But so we understand that sexuality is a beautiful thing, but when it's in the fireplace, and that's where anyways, so if it was someone of faith, I would be genuinely, sitting down with them. I guess I'd be doing this in both ways. I'm trying to play this conversation out, but I think that...
No, just play it immediately. You see porn on my laptop. What's your first feeling? Is it betrayal? Is it anger?
Is it crushed? I would feel sad.
Why?
I would feel sad because, again, if we're not having sex, why are you watching this? Why do you need this to be satisfied? This is out of the bounds of what we believe in our faith. If I'm talking about a secular relationship and potentially we are having sex and you are watching this, then I would feel that, I cannot satisfy you. Why are you looking at other women? I would feel, I'd feel necessarily probably cheated on to some capacity because I'm not watching other men. I'm not getting satisfied by other men. So why do you have the need and the want to be satisfied by other women? So I would feel sad. I would feel really sad, and I would want to sit there and have a very open and raw conversation about what is lacking in your heart right now for you to feel that you need to go to these platforms to be satisfied, because there is something in you right now that you are not satisfied wholly in your life. And we need to discuss this and we need to get to the bottom of it. So then you don't feel this need and pull and yearning and want to go to a computer to be able to be satisfied.
Okay. And that's, it's a lot, but that's really, I think, just the beginning, because that conversation, could go, you know, it's needed. I think it's a needed conversation if you're in a relationship and you're, you know, doing that. You know, I think it's a tough conversation how it would go. Especially if like both are being very honest with it, right? I mean,
well, it's a tough one as well. But again, that's why I think that this problem is so complex. There's a gentleman that I've been speaking with in the States. His name's Gene, and he talks about how his pornography addiction was stemmed from sexual assault from a very young age. And he was introduced to pornography by older people at a very young age as well. And so that's how it stemmed into this monster for him. So again, it's so complex. I don't think that it's these men are these bad things that are just, what if your partner was sexually assaulted? What if they, like, sometimes you repress what if you didn't know? And so this is how it's coming out. The manifested trauma is through a porn addiction. So I think that this is something we need to treat. Again, if you shame someone in any capacity, if you shame an OnlyFans girl for doing OnlyFans, you're not going to help for her to understand why she shouldn't do OnlyFans. If you're going to shame a male for watching and consuming porn and make out that he's this horrible monster, what do you think he's going to do? He's not going to be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. He's going to go, no, screw you.
Yeah.
So if we come at this from that perspective.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, I think that you would have to sit down and say, why are you consuming? What's going on? You would hope that they would be honest enough with you in a relationship capacity to be able to say, hey, you know what? This did happen, whatever. And then we can get you the necessary help. Or if they're like, hey, you know what? I just spiraled. I ended up on this. It was a mistake, whatever. Beautiful. There's things you can put on your phone. There's blockers. There's accountability partners.
See, that I wouldn't buy though. I would not buy. If somebody says, I just spiraled out and I landed on this page and stuff like that, I would not, because but the thing is, by the time you find out about that, if you're in a relationship, I mean, you're talking weeks, months, could be years that they've been on that stuff.
Okay,
you know?
So anomaly, if it was like a one time, if we're saying hypothetically that you've caught your partner watching porn and it genuinely was a once off, I would give that, because I can see how you could sit there.
I would never buy that once off. If somebody, that's like,
okay, I retract my statement. I take it back. If it was a once off, I'm being so hopeful and giving such a
you are being so hopeful. Holy shit, yeah. Because it's like catching somebody smoking pot or like drinking underage, and like it was like I swear my very first time ever doing this was when I was caught. Yeah. Okay,
I am. If it is,
you're so freaking sweet, by the way.
I can understand. If it probably is realistically more of a long-term thing, and they've been watching it for a while. I think that this is, something that you need to do before you're even dating someone. And this is a whole nother rabbit hole in itself. But I think people as well really jump into dating and jump into sex. Why not just get to know a human for even a month?
I know, yeah, I know.
And then have these conversations. Don't be scared to be open and vulnerable. There's nothing wrong with vulnerability. And again, I will probably tangent here, but hey, do you consume porn? What are your thoughts on porn? Do you think it's a positive or a negative? And like, open up the gateway before you jump into a boyfriend-girlfriend situation with someone. And talk, what are your expectations in sex? Do you have sex? How often would you want to have sex? What type of sex do you enjoy? Like, there's nothing wrong with when you're potentially thinking about dating someone to have these conversations. People will happily have sex with someone when they've just met them, a stranger, and sleep with them and do the most intimate thing, but yet they don't want to have conversations around sex. So I think that, again, that's a whole nother rabbit hole in itself. But there's so many ways that you can open up the doors for healthy conversation to potentially mitigate this even being a problem in itself.
No, it is, because I, prepping for this podcast and doing a lot of research on this stuff, I mean, I came across so many wild like stories and things of people, and I was thinking, I was like, I don't feel like this is off. Like, these stories that I'm seeing online are not off from like what's typically out there, but what hasn't come to light yet in relationships, you know? And I mean, there's one story on Reddit. This woman posted, I don't know why she posted this on Reddit. You should be a therapist, but it is what it is. No, she posted that her boyfriend, because on OnlyFans and other sites, you know, you can subscribe, you can buy things from them and all that stuff too. And the woman, she said her boyfriend purchased a pair of panties from an OnlyFans creator model, whatever. And she was like, she found out, and she was heartbroken over it. And she was like, I don't know what to do, because basically I think that was her introduction into realizing he was into porn.
Yeah.
Was finding that, which that in consumption of porn is like, you're way down the tunnel if you're doing that.
That's not a one-time accidental rabbit hole.
Yeah. And you've got, I mean, you're talking probably years before. I mean, you're buying that type of stuff from someone else online, another woman. You're so far down that. So for her to catch her boyfriend there is insane, because there's so much leading up to that. Clearly, you've gone through some stuff by yourself without me, and now we're here, and she's dumbfounded, and that's probably why she's turned into a Reddit forum to find some answers.
Yeah. I was going to say, can I read this? So I'm in this group on Facebook, and it's called Melbourne Gal Pals, and there's 40,000 women in there, and it's kind of like a forum, and they post advice and help, and literally I saw this morning.
Yeah. Do you know there is one forum in the United States in a lot of major cities that there's thousands and thousands of women that are in. Do you know what those are called in America? What they name them in there? Are we dating the same guy?
Oh, we have one of those. Isn't that so sad?
Very sad.
Or is this your boyfriend? It's horrible. So this was literally posted 9 hours ago. And it's like, I feel porn is a never ending battle. I'm going to win. My partner seems so obsessed with it and asks me at least monthly to watch it, even though he watches it more than that. And it makes me feel so annoyed and disgusted. Why is he asking me if he can watch it if he already does it behind my back and knows how much I despise it? I'm so sick of having the same conversation with him over and over about how it ruins my self-esteem and our sex life. He just doesn't get it because it's all about him. Why is he so obsessed with it that he has to pre-plan watching it? I don't want any comments saying, anyways, it's just so sad. Someone literally wrote in this, "You are the red flag. Sorry, sis." I agree 1,000%. Sex sells and always will. Seems like she's basing her views only off hers. That is the world that we live in now, where this poor girl is going, my boyfriend is watching porn. It's making me feel horrible. I'm trying to communicate with him.
That's in a girl's group.
Yeah.
Oriented. Yeah.
And this girl goes, "You're the problem." Like, no, this isn't the type of conversations we should be having. I think it's so sad. Like that poor girl on Reddit, I just don't think it's a simple solution here. It's so complex, but it's destroying relationships. Like, poor girls are having to come now onto social media platforms to try and find support because there's no support for how much of a craze this is of men being addicted to porn and women being victimized by their partner's porn addiction. Yeah. Like, it's huge. I saw a girl post in there as well. It was like trigger warning 18, porn, all this stuff. And she goes, "Hey girls, my boyfriend saw this thing in porn," and I won't repeat it. But she goes, "He wants me to recreate this with him, but I don't feel really comfortable doing it, but he really wants me to. What do you think? By the way, I'm fresh 18. And I'm like,
oh Jesus, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so she's having to come to this random forum to ask for support because these porn idolizations, say that word, men are so obsessed with what's happening in porn that they want to recreate it, and there's no support network there for how women navigate this new craze because we've never seen porn addiction the way that it is now. And it's really overarching theme is just, it's really sad.
Yeah, I don't know. That's got to be it's like you said, it has to be a conversation in relationships, because the thing is, I feel like if you haven't had a conversation about it, it's probably happening,
if you don't think your boyfriend's watching porn, especially I don't hear what I'm not saying, because this happens in the church as well. But if you are dating someone and you're having sex with someone, the likelihood of them watching porn is bro, you're probably quite naive if you don't believe that your boyfriend is watching porn, especially if they don't have any fundamental values that tell them that they shouldn't watch porn, because they probably don't think there's anything wrong with it. So just to be aware of that, females, your boyfriend's probably watching porn.
Yeah, especially the stats I read off about the American man, about 50% of the OnlyFans accounts. So
sad. No wonder why relationships are being destroyed. Marriages aren't lasting. But I heard something interesting, and I can fact check this and find it, and we can put it in the notes or something, just so people know that I'm not making crap up. But I think that since the publishing of 50 Shades of Grey, and it kind of ties into what you're talking about, statistics. This is a theory, so I'd love your opinion on it. That women supposedly now cheat more than men, and women used to cheat because of a lack of love, and men would cheat because of like they would want to act out things in porn. But now with this new era of like feminism and books like 50 Shades of Grey and all this type of like wild sex that's promoted now, that supposedly more women are actually cheating because they want to act out crazier sexual fantasies, and men are cheating because they actually want to find connection. It's flipped and it's switched. And I just wonder if that's true. I just heard it.
Oh, man.
If that's true, maybe that's why things like OnlyFans are such a phenomenon now, because men are cheating for different reasons, because they're actually looking for connection, because for some weird reason women are going out because of this sexual liberation movement and doing those things. Again, it's a theory.
Yeah.
I just wonder.
I can speak from observation, not personal experience, because I haven't been in a relationship in like years.
Yeah.
But I can say I think I had somebody, what was it? I was at a bar a couple of weeks ago and met like this group of people, a group of friends. There's like 3 girls, 3 guys, and they were like all from Miami. So they're asking me like why I moved here, why I've been here for 4 years, and do I like it? And then one of them asked like, well, it's I think they're indirectly expressing their frustration with their female partners, because they said, don't all the women suck here? You know? And I was like, oh, this is clearly like a 3-3 here. I was like, I don't want to get involved in this, but
that is so inappropriate.
Yeah. But I gave my truthful answer, and I said like, you know, I feel like I said basically I feel like and this is probably solely Miami based, maybe on the outskirts too. But I was like, I feel like the problem in relationships was, women trying to, go to a higher, elevate their level of social status through using sex and relationships to elevate themselves personally. And then I said, and men just love fucking cheating, is what I said to them too. Because I couldn't go just one there. I was like, that's what I feel like, because my own experience and observations in Miami, especially, which I feel like is maybe the physically, sexually reflective deep hub of the United States, along with like Vegas, where people go to feed in and to eat with their sinister selves. Yeah. I think that traditionally, I think that men will cheat because just like traditionally, that I don't think that portion has ever changed. If there's opportunity, A, and B, if they are weak and don't live up to an internally based moral value system that's built into them, to deflect their physical nature that's telling them, do this. It's a woman. She's really hot. She's really sexy. What are you thinking? What are you doing? There's this opportunity to do it. If you don't have that other side of you, that spiritual side, emotional side, or higher level of commitment that says no and shoves it away, they will cheat, which I feel like today's world, the depravity being pushed all over the freaking place. That's why I feel like there's a ton of cheating now with men more than ever, which is why I said to the guys, like, men just love fucking cheating. I'm like, they almost get into relationships just to cheat. It almost like if an alien came down from outer space and looked, they would go, you just got into this relationship just to be able to cheat. You know what I'm saying? I was like, God damn. Yeah. And that's physically cheating. I'm saying, I'm not even talking soft cheating and what people perceive as like, oh, well, you're on porn, or you're like texting somebody else, and people consider that as cheating. Because if we consider that as full on objectively 100% you're cheating, as we do like penetration and stuff and a sexual experience, then holy shit, we're on another chart. To get to women cheating, I feel like, yeah, there might be a traditionally speaking, might be different, because I feel like traditionally speaking, men cheat the same way, but traditionally speaking, women might have evolved, and now we're cheating for a different way, to where, they may feel a certain way about their person that they're dating, and almost they're using sex as a tool to communicate to that person their level of unhappiness. It could be that. I could see your point with maybe they're elevated and want to maybe try a new aspect, and maybe they're like kind of tired of being with this person. Now all of a sudden someone new has come along and they almost want to like adventure with themselves. I can definitely see that, because obviously that door of individuality has opened over the years to where that wouldn't shock me. You know, if you ask somebody who just cheated last night on their boyfriend, why did you do it? It's probably not going to be the answer that the guy would give you. That would be like, she was really hot.
Yeah.
She was really hot. I was drunk. You know, it's, I don't think you would ever hear of a woman saying something like that when they cheat. I think there would definitely be a reason that is internal and it laying in the unconscious within them that drives them to make that decision, which I think generally is more definitive and intentional than with guys who I think generally try to use the excuse of just like, oh, I'm just going with the flow. Things happen. We got drunk, and they try not to think about the consequences that sits in the unconscious within them, to where that unravels in what you had discussed later in the PostNut Clarity, where then those consequences, but they cheat because they don't feel the consequences. Then they feel it after. But I could see your point with women on that to an extent as to why they maybe cheat. But I really do. I mean, I feel like the level of cheating with men and women is still so unbalanced. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think you see as many women cheating as you do men, at least sexually. You know, if we go into deeper and think of cheating as flirtation and texting and DMs and like kind of entertaining someone who you know is there solely just to try to be with you romantically, I think if we consider that as cheating, I think it might be 50-50.
Yeah.
But you know, that's it's obviously that's so much harder to prove and
yeah,
you know,
it's so hard to blanket it. I just thought that was such an interesting observation of potentially where the curve could be, and things were going from traditionally this is why women would to now why it is. And I was like, I guess it could hypothetically make more sense, especially in this, like liberated, over-sexualized culture that we have, where women are really being encouraged and glorified to have as many partners as possible, to have sex like a man.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I've seen there's a couple of Instagram accounts that I follow that are women heavy, women based, almost like the Andrew Tate of women, where I mean their sole page is just catering to women, and I do see that. Now to your point, I see exactly what you mean now, where I see them putting things out that are like basically like you should do you first, even if you're in a relationship, and he comes second or the relationship comes second, and you shouldn't be bothered by limitations or the generic stereotype of like commitment and stuff, because there's a demand for you, not for him. And that's exactly what you're talking about with like kind of like a little bit of a elevated level of sexual liberation and seeking this level of sexual individuality, because they're the ones who are driving the demand. So if they're the ones of high value sexually in a relationship, then they're the ones who should be choosing to make the decisions sexually to satisfy themselves, because they're the ones that are being sought after.
And it's so sad, like just even this conversation in general, it's like why, and I understand it because that's what I used to do. And so that's why I can see the flip side now. And I'm like, we really should be championing in our culture today this counter argument of why are we basing our relationships and building a foundation off having sex? Like people all know this, and you hear this all the time that, oh, I made him wait, like just hypothetically 7 dates because I wanted to get to know him, blah, 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 whatever. Because we all actually know intrinsically that to build a genuine foundation and a genuine connection with someone, that it's not done through having sex with them. It's actually understanding, getting to know the person, like building a foundation outside of that. And that's something that I really want to like encourage and champion people. Like even in this conversation that we're having, oh, I'm the desired one because, but why? Why are you sitting there and going, my value and my worth is based off my capacity to have sex and my desirability?
Yeah. The hyper competition.
Yeah.
Hyper competitiveness is where that goes into.
And it's like, and it just makes me so sad because I used to think the same thing as well. And I used to think that I'm only desirable if this person wants to sleep with me. If they sleep with me, therefore that must mean that they like me. And it's like, we have it so backwards. And this is so countercultural to say because people don't understand that. But oh my gosh, like the last point of contact should be sexual intimacy because you've built this whole entire relationship with them. And anyone who has been in a relationship knows that sex is like the most minute part of a relationship. If you're living with someone, do you actually like hanging out with them? Do you like going to dinner with them? Can you have a conversation with them? Can you do stuff together and activities? You're not actually just having sex 24/7. That's unrealistic. And then you get into, women once a month. And then what about after babies and then all these other things? So sex is such a minute part that we need to not be emphasizing and building relationships based around this. And like even hookup culture, and I met some guy and so I'm going to go sleep with him. And like the reason why I say this and I harp on this is because we know that it chips away at you. There's a 17-year-old girl back home that I guess I love her. She's my friend. I hang out with her and she asks, I guess, for advice. And she's already having sex and with multiple people. And she's already understanding at 17 years old how icky this makes her feel. But she thinks that the only way that she can get a guy to like her is for her to have sex at 17. That's what's being programmed into her. But she says, Vic, it doesn't make me feel good. And I'm like, because it's not supposed to. That's not the way that sex should be. Like, I think to strip this all back, we need to understand, why do we have sex? What is the point of sex? What is the context of it? Again, what parameters are we putting around it? And when we can understand why we have sex, I think that people will treasure it a lot more. They will think that it is a sacred act. It's something special. Yeah. And even if you don't align with necessarily waiting till marriage, that's okay. But I don't think that there's a negative in understanding that you shouldn't just be having sex with people to have sex with people. Build a relationship of something else. I had a friend back home as well, and she had this guy like randomly message her late night, like come over, all the things. And some of the friends in the circle were like, yeah, go have fun. She's like, well, yeah, I don't want anything serious, so I should. And I looked at her and I said, hold on, you don't want anything serious, so you're going to go to this guy who clearly actually doesn't care about you because he's messaged you at 10:30 at night on a Saturday because you accidentally called him. And so he knows that there's an opportunity to have sex with you. If he wanted to hang out with you, he would have planned and organized something to hang out, not responded to your accidental call. You're going to go over there. You're then going to have sex with this guy and leave at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning and get in an Uber and go home. You're going to feel like trash if you do that. But you know what's going to feel even worse? If you sleep over, you cuddle with him, you hang out with him, and then in the morning, he tells you to leave. Both situations suck, but you want nothing serious and it's not going to make you feel like trash. Come on now. And she sat there and she thought about it because everyone's, yeah, go do it. Like you're single, like have fun. And like, no, you don't want anything. And she actually pulled me aside later and goes, Vic, thank you so much. No one's ever put it to me like that. That would make me feel worse. And so people think that, oh, I'm the woman, I'm desirable, I'm valuable, I should go have sex with these people. But when you actually think about it, again, for guys, PostNut Clarity, it makes you feel icky. Like, why are we emphasizing this? Why are we glorifying something that's actually hurting us? I'm like, again, not advocating 100% that, okay, go hard, like don't do the whole sex before marriage thing, but stop emphasizing that sex is the foundational basis that you should build relationships on. And also to encourage other people to just have random sexual encounters, because we all know deep down inside that it actually makes us feel like trash every single time we do it. We never feel good after a hookup. So why are we encouraging this as a culture to go and hook up? It makes all of us feel like trash after. So they're just my things that I think as well that we should really start to try and champion and bend the culture to just stop saying that this is a positive. Yeah, it's a tough ladder to climb though right now with where like I feel like the bell curve is going, because just the like kind of like similar with like where the platform is, OnlyFans, where I think it's growing, I think that the inner cities becoming even more hyper competitive with each other, and with individuals, people are competing more, and I feel like they compete with
and they use sex to compete with each other, and they use having different partners to compete with each other on who's better. And I don't unless there's a higher level of a higher code that people live by, I don't see how it's able to kind of come around and turn around. I mean, of course, I think as people do get older, I think that they start to find that a little bit, I mean, I'm 30 and I know a lot of people in their early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. And, you definitely start to see people come around a little bit more and value their time, value their emotions more, and are more aware of things like that, because of what they have, what they've gone through. The friend you were talking about being about 17, that doesn't surprise me of where she is, because she hasn't experienced any, too many things just yet, and have been able to analyze her feelings afterwards. She doesn't have maybe a couple of years to kind of analyze her own experiences. Hopefully she will. Kudos to you for being a good influence in her life there. I do, I can understand what you're coming from with that. With OnlyFans too, I want to get your direct thoughts with this, because this is definitely important, because it's basically, I mean, somebody, you said you're 26, right? Live in Australia.
Sorry, I'm nodding for people that aren't watching.
Yeah. She's saying, yes, mate. Yes, mate. So 26, woman 26. When were you born? What year?
1998.
So 1998. So there's a lot of women who are also born in 1998, who are 26 years old right now, who do OnlyFans right now. What is the difference, and what has kept you from going down and not becoming a model in comparison to somebody who is your exact same age, who is a model right now, and is, thinks that, it's a great way of life, making a lot of money, and are enjoying it as a career? What is the difference from where they got into it, how you think they got into it, and how you did not take the bait? Because Victoria, you are gorgeous. You're 26 years old. Like you, if I probably sound like a modeling agency right now, trying to recruit, for an OnlyFans
sound like
model.
Old me.
Yeah, exactly. But it's true. I mean, and what's stopping you now from knowing that, okay, maybe in a year, if I put my work every single day into this, being a beautiful woman that you are, you could potentially be making a ton of money. And maybe not have to work again, can travel, can do all of those, things that people fantasize about. What's the difference?
So there's two aspects to answering that question. Number one is I was an online pimp. So even though I wasn't the one who was doing the porn, I was selling the porn. I was recruiting the girls. I was encouraging this. And I think we need to just remember that. And as well, just to put it bluntly, just because I wasn't doing OnlyFans doesn't necessarily mean that I was like this innocent little thing. And so I was very much inaugurated in this culture of thinking that sex before marriage is okay, that you can sleep with people and have hookups and that's fine, and not necessarily 100% respecting and valuing my body and seeing how precious I truly am. Because if I did agree with those things, then I would never encourage other women to do that as well. So there's that element of it. Also, I've never actually, until working at an OnlyFans agency, I was never exposed to pornography. So I'd actually never seen porn until I started selling porn.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I didn't really also necessarily understand exactly what porn was. Like, of course, I know it's people having sex, but there's a difference between knowing that and then actually seeing it. And then also knowing the girls that are doing it and watching them do the acts as well. That just brings a whole nother level to it. So I think that just needs to be emphasized. It's not like just for people hearing that, like, and going, oh, well, she's so lucky that she didn't like, blah, blah. I don't know. But like, no, I was fully in this culture. I was one of the people that was encouraging girls to do OnlyFans and to sell themselves. Where I changed and where I understood the difference is before I started seeing the girls' porn, I was doing all the marketing, as I said, and we actually ended up changing the way the agency worked. So just to put it into context for people so it makes sense, there was someone who was in charge of all of the OnlyFans accounts. So that person was seeing everything and, doing all the chatting stuff and making sure that the accounts were running. I was doing all the marketing. So I saw all the Instagram content. But we realized when you're impersonating a person, that if a subscriber's talking to you on Instagram and talking to you on OnlyFans and there's two different managers, there's a disconnect. So then, the holes started to show.
Yeah.
So the agency decided that we would split the girls in half and you would do the full life cycle. So I was doing less girls, but then I started doing their OnlyFans and their social media. That's when I started to see everything. And so I had known these girls and I had made, relationships with these girls and understood them for who they were outside of the porn that they were creating.
The digital sex.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm an online pimp. I'm an online pimp, literally. And so I'm starting to see all this content and I'm like, wait a minute. And even some of the stuff the girls would say, and one girl literally hated doing what she was doing, but is like, I can't do anything else but this. She literally said that to me. She's like, the only thing I'm good at is being hot. That breaks my heart. And I knew her. She was funny. She was generous. You could not be in a room with this girl for literally more than 2 minutes without being tears of laughter. And she had so much to contribute to this world than just doing OnlyFans. But because of the culture and the society we live in, she thinks that her only value is being hot. If someone sat here, imagine if we did this whole entire podcast, whatever, and you go, Vic, you know what? I actually just want you to sit there and not say anything and look cute. I'd be like, ouch. Like, I'm so much more valuable than how I look. And so I had that context of these girls. I'm like, this girl's sweet. This girl's lovely. This girl's shy. But when she comes out of her shell, she's actually hilarious, whatever it is. And so I got to know these girls. Then I saw them doing porn. And then I'm exposed to porn for the first time. And I'm like, it just felt yucky. And so I ended up hearing someone speak. And I went out searching for answers because I was crying every single day. I couldn't open up my laptop. I couldn't watch this content anymore. It was destroying me because I intrinsically knew. That's how I know that people know it's wrong, because I'm in the culture. I'm an online pimp, a new digital era of pimping. I'm as much as in it as you can be. But I intrinsically knew something was wrong and this wasn't right. That's why I genuinely believe people do know it's wrong. And I went searching for answers and I ended up hearing this person speak. And they're in church. I ended up at this random church service in a weird way. And I wasn't even looking for God or anything. But this chick in church is talking about OnlyFans. And she's talking about this over-sexualized culture we live in and how we're destroying the next generation. And it just confirmed for me. I was like, I'm destroying people. And I'm ruining people's lives by doing this. And so it was through that I've come to really realize that we are everyone, not women, not men, humans are so much more valuable than what we're told to believe. We have so much more capacity than what the world says that we have. And I don't care if people think that that's naive or not, because it's not. People can sit here and build billion-dollar businesses and that's achievable. But to tell someone that their intrinsic value is so much more higher than what they could believe is stupid. No, I don't agree with that. And so I just really got to see how extraordinary humans are. And in this social structure we have right now, we limit people so much that a girl just has to do OnlyFans and a guy just consumes porn and that's enough. And it's absolutely not. So I think the differentiation for me is that I was so amalgamated into this culture and I was a part of it and I was, pushing for it. And then through that, I actually understood that what we're doing is destroying people. We're encouraging people to live this dulled life of what we think is amazing. I was at the parties. I was at the $10 million houses, all the drugs, all the alcohol, all the things that social media says is acceptable, famous. And I'm like, this is the pinnacle of excellence for humans. This is making it. Nah, this is sad. But this is what the world says that it should be. So I just really care about that. I really care about championing people. And I think that that's where the differentiation is because I saw the extremes. I saw the OnlyFans parties. I saw the OnlyFans girls. I saw all of it. And this is what the world says is the best thing that you can do. And I'm like, trust me, it's not. And this isn't someone coming in just assuming that. This is someone who was in that world and has come out of it. So I think that that's the difference is I saw it and I understand that it sucks. And then for a 26-year-old girl who's doing it, she doesn't have the foundation of an identity to think anything different. She's not been presented with an alternative option. Her only option is because she is so in this worldly culture is to think that this is the only option. And so I care so much about telling people that, hey, there's another option, because I didn't know that there was one until I knew. And then I took that other option, and it is such a better option.
Yeah, and it sounds like you didn't, you weren't necessarily, because you said you didn't even know what porn was too until you got into it, to where you kind of like weren't exposed to a lot of that until like probably what, you're like your low to mid 20s ish or so? Or?
So I started working at the agency when I was about 24, 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't last long.
Yeah,
I really
it
didn't.
doesn't sound like it.
No.
Yeah.
I unofficially, I was helping for a couple months. Officially paid on the books as a contractor, I lasted 5.5 weeks. Okay. That's how deeply this affected me. And I saw how like wrong it was. Yeah.
Jeez, that's nuts.
Yeah.
And you know who really, in my opinion, gets shafted because of OnlyFans?
Mm.
The average woman that is driving to work, teacher, cop, secretary, running their own like small business on Etsy or something, and they're killing themselves, doing the right thing. They're on their way to work, and then they see articles like this. That's on LinkedIn by one of their search engine optimization specialists, Karen Singh, wrote, this is LinkedIn, literally on LinkedIn. An employee for LinkedIn wrote this, that most women who sell photos of their feet are raking in $2,000 to $5,000 a month just on selling their feet without posting their face. Bad Barbie, which, do you know her?
Yep.
Raking in $59 million a year and not even posting fully nude, basically just like bathing suit shots and stuff like that. Joyce Miller became a millionaire by selling her own farts in a jar. And you're on your way to work, could be Monday, could be Friday, you got up early, you're crunching your bills, crunching your numbers, you're trying to, build a retirement, probably save to buy a house. You're on your way to work, you're making like between 45 and like maybe 75 grand a year. Maybe you have a partner or whatnot, but then you're seeing these headlines over and over and over again about people, I don't want to say cutting the line, but like just taking like this jetpack off financially by lowering significantly their morals. And then here I am on my way to work, sitting in traffic, got my Starbucks, and I'm fighting with my boss. I have a million emails to go through, and I don't love my job. And this person is like killing it and seems to be loving their job, loving their life all over social media. And they get to travel. They have all this freedom that I'm hoping that I get when I'm 65 or 70 years old. That's when I'm hoping and planning that I get the same freedom that this person my age, if not years younger than me, has right now and will have for the rest of their life, because they're having this life-changing amount of money because of what they're doing. And granted, you hear about a headline once, okay, twice, okay, even the 10th time, okay, but like now we're like 10, 15, 100 times probably a month that if you follow news articles, this is all over the place. And focusing on women right now, I gotta give kudos to the women that are going to work and have not taken the bait of that and have sacrificed probably a lot of times we think of women sacrificing themselves for OnlyFans to make money, but I want to talk about the women now that are sacrificing that like financial money barrel that they can have. Like I asked you before, why aren't you an OnlyFans? If you were an OnlyFans, you could probably be making like $100,000 a month within 2 years, but you choose not to. You choose not to. Just like there's so many attractive, beautiful women that are not on OnlyFans because they're saying fuck no to that. And they deserve to know that they are doing the right thing. Somebody needs to tell them that. I'm going to tell them you are doing the right thing. Keep working hard. Do not sell your soul, because you are selling your soul. in 5, 10, 15 years from now, you will absolutely regret it. And 5, 10, 15 years from now, I hope I'm still running this podcast and I can tell you that you have done the right thing over the years. And you need to know that, because anybody can take the bait. Anybody in the world can take the bait. You're choosing not to take the bait, not to, when you know there's riches right around the corner, you're saying, no, I don't want it like that. You are the woman that is helping run this world, and you need to know that. If you're a woman right now and you know you can create an OnlyFans account, you're choosing not to, kudos to you out there. Okay, if you're listening to this, know that shit. Know that people are watching and you're not choosing to go that route. Good for fucking you. You deserve all the kudos. And I hope you fucking have everything you ever want. I do. I hope you get that shit. You know I'm on your side. All right. So I just need to say that, because there's headline after headline, even not even in OnlyFans. There was a 2-year-old like 7 years ago whose parents were recording them like doing toy reviews. That 2-year-old was like making $2 million a year on YouTube doing toy reviews. And when you see that over and over and over again, and then you're a woman, then you're seeing all these women your age, younger than you, making all this, and a 2-year-old is making $2 million a year while you're sweating off a 9-to-5 being a teacher or being, a nurse or something like that, killing yourself, sacrificing your body physically and your mentality because you're dying over this, and working hard as shit, maybe even having kids, running a household, bringing in an income and a mother, and you're making like almost like the bare minimum from society's standpoint. Someone's got to step in and say, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Just know that.
I love that. Yay. Good job, Daniel. Oh, that was so good. But I do just want to emphasize one thing. Like, you're talking about all these articles and stuff like that. People are under this guise that, Bad Barbie or whatever her name is making all this money. Cardi B's on there, Iggy Azalea, they're making all this money. Well, that doesn't automatically mean you will too, because these are different caliber people that we're talking about.
They already have a crowd.
Correct. So for that girl that maybe has anywhere from 1 to 15,000 followers on Instagram right now, and you're sitting there and you're going, but I could just jump on and make some money and do it for a little bit, and it'll help to pay my bills, blah blah blah. Again, the average wage of an OnlyFans creator is $150 USD a month. And
that's taking into account Bad Barbie, $59 million a year. Cardi B, $41 million a year. You take those whales out of the equation, that is, you're probably at like $30 a month.
Exactly. And so we need to remember that, and remember that you're not going to jump onto this platform and make all this money and it's all going to be happy days. And as well, I saw the consequences of women on this platform. Like, you might think that, if I just jump on, I can make a bunch of money and all my problems are solved. It will multiply and amplify every single problem in your life. Like, I have a friend that did porn and decided 10 years ago that they wanted to get out of the industry, and they just wanted to work in quotation, normal job. And she got fired from every single job within 2 weeks because of her history. She ended up going to court to try and sue these people to say porn, like girls who have done porn have the right to work too. I have another friend that literally just left OnlyFans and tried to get, in quotation marks, a normal job. And she goes, do you know how humiliated I felt? Because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if these people have seen my porn? What if this? What if that? Like, it was so hard. I tried to do this job and then ended up leaving because she couldn't take the fact that she had done OnlyFans for so many years and then wanted to be amalgamated back into the world, and the shame and the paranoia that she had from it, she couldn't even have the capacity to have a normal job again. And so these are just things that people don't think about. You think, I might just do it for a little bit and then I can go back and I've made some money. Well, likely you're not going to make the money that you think you're going to make. Then your porn is on the internet forever. OnlyFans does not protect your content. It owns it.
Well, it can't too. It can't.
No. Exactly. So your content on OnlyFans, your porn is just as safe and protected as a public Instagram profile. So your stuff is out there forever. I know another girl through like the grapevine that did OnlyFans. Now she's a PT, but she goes, you can literally Google my name and you can see me naked bending over. And that's on there forever. And there's nothing I can do about that. Yeah. And she had the same mentality that I'll just do it for a little bit. I'll make some money. And it did not work out for her. And it's probably not going to work out for you. So we just need to really shatter that narrative. And then as well, like these girls are not living this glamorous, amazing lifestyle. Majority of them are escorting to be able to still afford these trips that you see on social media. If you go to Dubai, all of the women there are OnlyFans girls and they're escorting. It's out of control there. But that's where all these girls are going and having these elite trips. So majority of them are probably having sex with men to be able to afford the trips that they're doing. I know from personally talking to girls that are in the porn industry, the money comes in and the money goes just as quickly.
Goes right out. Yep.
So you're building this foundation of I'm going to make all this money, but the lifestyle that comes with it, the expectancy, it's all gone. And then as well, you think that it might necessarily make you happier. The mental health that I saw from these girls, the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse, the anxieties, the depression, like the paranoia, the shame. So just for anyone who's like, oh, but I see this art, I see that. It is all a lie. It is all fake. And I just hope that like coming from someone that's been in it and understand and seen it firsthand, that illusion, that allure is shattered. And as you said, you want to be able to go home. I went from working in these places, I was building another business at the time, all the parties and stuff, to working at a cafe, making coffee and cleaning toilets again. The humility. But do you know how safe I felt? It was so fulfilling. It was so like, oh my gosh, just being able to be like in an environment where it wasn't this fake chauvinistic performative like money hustle sad. It's sad and it's dark. And I was more fulfilled and happy when I left and worked at a cafe than I ever was being in that world. I was a high functioning cocaine addict and alcoholic just to cope with what I was doing in the world that I was in. Now I've been sober for almost a year. I am so fulfilled. I am so happy. And I am so far away from that world in every single capacity you can think of. And so for anyone who thinks that this is just a positive in any way, shape or form, I just hope that seeing someone firsthand come out of it and what they're doing now, you just go, nah, you know what? That's not it. And that just sounds like a bad time. Even if it's wrapped up in this fake promise of money and fame and glamour, it's just not true in any capacity.
No, thanks for sharing that too. And for anyone considering like, hey, should I be an OnlyFans model? Just know that the girl, you ever been in a relationship and gotten cheated on? OnlyFans model, you're that girl who slept with somebody who's committed, but you're that girl, but on fucking steroids, digitally. Steroids. Because if we were to go into, and there's obviously a good argument of like, hey, if you're watching porn and you're in a committed relationship, you're cheating. You're helping thousands, or maybe hundreds of thousands of men cheat. And you're cheating with them all simultaneously. So to leave off on that, there's a lot of different perspectives on this. But just hold the ground. You know what I mean? And both men and women are both responsible for this, of not taking the bait. You know, men don't fall into that. You know, don't get cooped up in the sexual indulgence that can take over your life. And then women at the same time, don't fall into the trap of sexual exploitation, sexually exploiting yourself in order for financial gain. Because, you know, I use exploitation because if you're not doing it for your own sexual pleasure, it's exploitation. If you're adding finances into it, which obviously you are. Yeah. So leave on that. That's really what I would say to both.
Beautiful.
To hold on, you know?
Cool.
And Victoria, real quick before we leave, you're from Australia.
Yes.
Here in the United States, first time in the United States.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think of the U.S.?
I love it. I feel like I'm in a movie set everywhere I go. I say this to everyone. I know I said it before, but America is so American.
That's like the most basic thing to say, you know? But Victoria asked me before, what's the... off camera, you asked me, what was it about the most tourist thing or something?
Oh, yes. What's the most touristy thing to do in Miami?
In Miami. And I said she should go twerk on South Beach.
I almost cried, guys. I was like, no, please. I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to go see alligators.
No, wouldn't recommend it, but the most touristy thing, that's what it is. Describe America in one word.
Extravagant.
Extravagant? Why?
everything is just wild here. Like I went to a CVS and the amount of variety of M&Ms that you guys have, it just blows my mind. And the fact that you can buy alcohol and prescription medication in the same shop, like crazy to me. And just the variety of food you have and the sizing of everything just seems so unnecessary. Everything here is just extravagant to like the fullest degree.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. It makes us sound like we got it going on.
That blew my mind.
Did your family have any concerns about you coming?
Oh, yeah. Of
Like
course
what?
they
Like
did.
what?
Well, I guess I'm coming over to a country that I've never been to ever. This is my first time. I've been overseas, but never by myself.
And in Australia, what is the reputation of America?
Ooh. Again, this is
Violent,
a major generalization,
Okay.
but from media, this is like a chaotic country.
Yeah.
It's polarized. You've got very, political polarization here, that you have a conversation with anyone and it's probably going to end in an argument.
gunshots.
So I think the interpretation is that right now it's a really hostile country, and especially with the election and everything that's going on politically here, and then the woke movement and I guess the faith movement both rising, that it's probably not the safest place. But
Woke movement's dying, faith is rising. But go on. You know what side I'm on.
I love it. I have just fallen. I never, to be honest with you, in a million years would have predicted coming to America. It's never been on the bucket list. I've never wanted to travel here. But being here, I love this country so much. It has been beautiful to go and see a place like Dana Point and then go to Reading, which is this tiny town, and see the community, then go to LA and see the difference, then come to just seeing how vast and different this country is, but the overwhelming positive interactions that I have had, I was like, this country is gorgeous. Like every country has something wrong. Everyone has something bad, but people love their town. They love their country. And overarching, I'm like, this is a gorgeous place. So yeah, I feel very blessed to have been able to experience
No,
it.
thanks. That makes me feel good because I, being in Miami, I always ask people who are just visiting from other countries, ask them like how is America treating you? And it's usually positive vibes on the street interviews. Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, basically going up and down the street, it was like, yeah, I'm from India. I was like, yo, what? Like, you guys all come together or something? But,
What's going on here?
Yeah, but it was good. It was good to know because I asked them all the same questions and they were like, yeah, no, everyone's treating me well, blah, blah, blah. And I was relieved because these people are then going to go back to India and go, no, like America is great. Like, was treated really well. Everyone's super nice over there. And then they're going to watch the news differently when they turn on the television. And then the television is telling them, no, America is blah, blah, blah. They're hostile. You don't want to, they're going to be able to then respond to that and go like, no, I was there. I was in a major city. So I'm super glad to hear that. And thanks so much for stopping in Miami for the podcast. I appreciate having you.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been in the works, guys, for months. So it's so fun that we've actually been able to sit down and finally do this. Yeah.
Literally for, what was it? The midnight Zoom we had? We had like a midnight Zoom and it was like 10 a.m. or something where you were or something like that. And
we had this horrible Zoom, guys, because we were trying to do this long distance and it just did not work. And the time difference is crazy. And so we're like, you know what? We'll just put a pin in it and we'll wait. And I'm so glad that we did.
I am
so
too.
Much fun.
I am too. And if you're ever considering a dual citizenship, Victoria, you let me know. I'll be a co-signer, all right?
Let's get that green card.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me.